It's mailbag time here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get those questions in. That way we can answer as many as possible here on today's show. Let's start with Tyler here. Will we get a cornerback in the draft? Probably. That'll depend on Charvarius Ward, who had been playing really well this year, but then got torched by Jamar Chase. Rashad Fenton didn't hold up that well either. I think both those guys have had solid years, though. But with Ward being a free agent, it's possible you let him go and draft a corner. And even not, you might draft one anyway to be that, number 3, number 4 type of cornerback. Obviously, L'Jarius Sneed's going to be a part of this secondary. I think Rashad Fenton, who's under contract, will be a starter next year. Really comes down to how this team feels about Charvarius Ward. Kevin Durantula, is it becoming apparent that we need a true number 1 corner? More on the corners, right? And should we draft and trade up with Philly to get Sauce Gardner and give up Mike Hughes and our pick? Sauce Gardner, elite name. Mike Hughes, I believe, is a free agent after this year, so you can't trade him unless you tag and trade him, and you're not going to tag Mike Hughes. I'd be open to trading up for the right corner. I think that's possible. Gardner's are going to want out of Cincinnati. Not sure exactly where he's going to fall in the draft at this point in time. I do wonder if in the future, if L'Jarius Sneed, if he continues to progress, if they just have him shadow the opposing team's number 1. Because he's been playing primarily slot corner recently. Well, Jamar Chase just stayed on the outside and torched Ward and Fenton, mostly Ward. So, do you trust Sneed to start doing that next year? If you do, then corner isn't as big of a need because you've got that lockdown guy. Bryan Gayles, Chiefs defensive coordinator next year. If you had to choose between Spags, Fangio, or Zimmer, who would you choose? That's a tough question. Gosh, I don't want to turn on Spags all of a sudden after one bad game against the Bengals, but he was bad earlier in the year. He was bad against Cincinnati. Now, for about 10 weeks, this defense was humming. Now, I want to see how he adjusts against Denver, obviously a much inferior opponent. Vic Fangio, the Broncos head coach, great defensive coordinator. He was awesome with the Bears, especially in 2018. Best defense in football there. And if Mike Zimmer gets fired as well, him and Fangio are on the hot seat. Zim's a great defensive mind. So I think all three are good options. I don't think they're going to look to fire Spags just for the sake of doing it. It'll depend how the end of the season goes. But I think overall it's been much more of a positive than a negative this year. Taco Lady, should Kansas City consider bringing in Antonio Brown despite his antics? I knew I would get an Antonio Brown question, and we know that Andy Reid is a forgiving man. He's a man who gives second, third chances. Hell, this team brought in Josh Gordon, who has not had any issues off the field that we know about. But repeat after me, F-A-B. You can guess what the F stands for. We know what A-B stands for, Antonio Brown. I don't want anything to do with this guy. I think he is a cancer. He's probably got CTE and some, whatever issues, and I get all that. And, everybody's, he hadn't been the same since the perfect hit a few years ago. Well, at the end of the day, you got to act proper, and he's just not been a guy that's done that. And if he does have serious mental health issues, he needs to get that addressed. He shouldn't be playing football. That's what I would say to that. So, FAB, I don't want Antonio Brown. I don't think he's a winning piece. I know he helped the Bucs win a Super Bowl last year, but there's a reason they said he's gone. He's cut without even thinking twice after what he pulled on Sunday. So, yeah, I don't want Antonio Brown. We'll ask you guys, should the Chiefs sign A, B, type S for sign, type P for pass? We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. So should the Chiefs sign Antonio Brown? Keep it moving here, Troy. Why didn't Andy make the defense double the hot wide receiver? There's a couple of thoughts here. Number one, you're trying to get pressure on Joe Burrow. I get that. But eventually it's like, okay, he's torching you on that. You got to change up the looks. Number two is you double Jamar Chase, then you're leaving Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, two excellent receivers in their own rights, on favorable matchups. But I don't care, Troy. I'm with you. When Chase is torching you that consistently, you got to make someone else beat you. And that's on Spags. Spags has to own that. He was not good enough adjusting on the fly yesterday. He's done a hell of a job getting this defense back on track this year, but that was not a good showing by Kansas City, and that starts with Spags. Cryana, do you think we will move on from Spags after this year? A lot of Spags, a lot of defense. I don't think so. here on when I'm filming this, but let's see how the Broncos in the playoffs go. What if you lose in the wild card round and give up 35 points? That could change my thinking. But if this team goes like a conference championship game and plays well and loses or something, I don't think they're going to fire Spags. Guys, we got to remember, before this Bengals game, how good has this defense been playing? Like, really good. So let's give Spags the opportunity to make these adjustments. Obviously, spotlight's going to be on in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. Shoot from the right. I'm a righty myself. Should the Chiefs go after Cam Robinson next year? I would love to see it. Move Brown back to right tackle where he belongs. You could do that. You're just going to be strapped cash-wise. And by the way, Orlando Brown asked out of Baltimore because he wanted to be a left tackle, because he wanted to be paid like a left tackle. So he wants to play left tackle. If he catches wind that the Chiefs are going to move him to right tackle, he just won't re-sign in Kansas City. He's a free agent. Orlando Brown has the chips at his disposal, so I think he's the left tackle of the future. I think it's fair to question, can you trust Lucas Niang to be healthy enough and be that right tackle long term? Remember, this is basically his rookie year because he opted out last year, so he's still got 3 more years on his rookie contract. So I would roll with him because he's cheap, and when he's played, he's been solid. So when you can find cheap starters, especially on a team like the Chiefs with a lot of expensive contracts, that's very valuable. Caleb Mahomes, is Tennessee playing their starters? Why wouldn't they be, right? The only reason they would sit their starters against Houston is if the Chiefs lose on Saturday night. And even then, it's possible that some tiebreaker scenarios could favor Cincinnati or Buffalo. I haven't looked into that deeply, but either way, I expect Tennessee to play their guys because they know if they beat Houston, they're the number 1 seed and they get a first-round bye. So I would be shocked if they did not play all of their starters. So I appreciate the question, and we will continue to answer some more here on the Chiefs Report. But I want to ask you guys one. Do you own a Chiefs jersey? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Do you have a Chiefs jersey? Let me know down in the comments. And by the way, if you do or if you don't, I got a deal for you guys to get a brand new free Chiefs jersey. Follow these steps right now. Chatsports.com/ChiefsBet, promo code Chiefs125. You start with that step, and then you go to the rest of these as we push this along here. Chatsports.com/ChiefsBet. You got to start by going to that link. Otherwise, the rest doesn't matter. Plug in the promo code Chiefs125. This is for you brand new BetUS customers. Go bet on football and get a free jersey. Follow the steps. Deposit a minimum of $100. You get $125 for free. Deposit bonus comes through. Then all you got to do, place a bet on any game for any amount. Bet on the Chiefs to beat the Broncos. No way they lose to Denver. Email us, jersey@chatsports.com after you follow those steps, and we will hook you guys up with a brand new Chiefs jersey. We got a few at our disposal here. A couple of Patrick Mahomes ones. We got the red. We got the yellow. Travis Kelce one is out there as well. Email us, jersey@chatsports.com. Bet on sports, it's fun, and for you new customers, we'll hook you guys up with a free jersey. Go to chatsports.com/ChiefsBet, and then email us, jersey@chatsports.com. All right, 1 second. All right, Nathaniel, do you think we still have a shot at the Super Bowl? Absolutely. Guys, the only team that is objectively playing better than the Chiefs in the NFL right now as a whole, I'm not going to just react to last week, is Green Bay. Green Bay is the team to beat currently. But I think the Chiefs are right there. Now, the Bucs are still in the mix, but Chris Godwin's out. You lost AB after Mike Evans. That receiving core doesn't look the same. So, yeah, look, the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC, and I think they have a hell of a shot to win it all this year. Orlando, Winfrey. Should our first pick be a wide receiver or a pass rusher? Let's see how the end of the year goes. What does Frank Clark's future look like? Do you cut him? Do you trade him? Do you restructure him? I think pass rush off the edge is an area to keep an eye on, especially with Melvin Ingram being a free agent as well. Wide receiver's a big one, though. I mean, after Tyreek Hill, it's pretty inconsistent there. I like Byron Pringle. I'd like to see him back. I don't think he's really a number 2, though. I think he's more of a number 3. So, yeah, I think those are 2 areas of, not weakness, but areas where you can improve your roster. Jack Passan, should we focus on getting a Kelce replacement considering he is 32 next year? I mean, the Chiefs have kind of tried to for a while, right? At least groom a tight end under him. It's why they drafted Noah Gray. It's why they converted Jody Fortson, who should be back next year after the Achilles injury. But I think Kelce's got at least 2 to 3 really good years left, and maybe 5 solid years in total left. So I don't think you have to be approaching this offseason like, we need the long-term Travis Kelce replacement. Number one, you ain't replacing Travis Kelce, all right? You're talking about maybe the best receiving tight end in the history of the NFL. And number two, he's still in his prime. I mean, look at what he's doing week in and week out. So he hasn't had quite the year he had last year, but, I mean, he's still absolutely tremendous. Subscribe to the channel because if you want to be a part of these mailbags, subscribe and join us on Mondays, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central. That's when you guys submit your questions, and we answer all of your questions. So subscribe and be a part of the fun. It's a great time here on the Chiefs Report, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Caleb Harrell, do we trade Chad Henne and draft another QB? Well, I can't remember. Is Henne on a 1 or 2 year deal? I'm not sure. I think he's on a 1. If he's on a 2, then sure, but Chad Henne has no trade value. You could draft another one, but I think the Chiefs are pretty high on Shane Buechele. So Shane Buechele, I think you're hoping, okay, maybe bring Henne back for 1 more year, and then Buechele gets another year of development, and then he's the long-term backup. Or potentially Buechele's the backup as soon as next year. So backup quarterback is an area to monitor over the next couple of seasons. DaRealChiefsFan, does it scare you that the Chiefs need to win 3 games in a row against great teams, with one possibly being on the road to make the Super Bowl for a 3rd straight year? Scare me? No. Is it more challenging? Of course. I mean, the Chiefs have had a first-round bye the last 3 years, so it's obviously different. That being said, even if Tennessee gets the 1 seed, I don't think they're going to make the AFC Championship game. So I think the Chiefs would be able to stay at home throughout if they get that 2 seed. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Derrick Henry comes back and changes things for Tennessee, but they have not been quite the same without him. So scare, no. More challenging, of course. I mean, that's why you want the number 1 seed to get that bye week. Shoot from the right. Why in the world was Sorenson out here and too high? He can't cover. I'm with you. I don't know if that's a Spags issue. I don't know if that's a personnel scheme issue. I don't know. But they hadn't been using him in coverage nearly as much recently. And then, let's go too high and have him play over the top. I mean, that one where he takes the awful angle on Chase and had no chance. I mean, that was just piss poor. He should not be covering in those situations unless it's man coverage and he's on like a tight end. But yeah, that was hard to watch. He should not be out there in too high situations. I totally agree with you.